that the abducted SPO has been released. Now, INEC issued a statement earlier on that she has been released and she's doing fine. Also, INEC has just announced that collation here at the State Collation Center will begin by 9 p.m. So basically, at the INEC State Collation Center, it's just a waiting game. Now, apart from this collection center, what is going on in other areas is that at the polling units, everything has been concluded. In some local government areas, collation is now ongoing at the ward level. Now, for other local government areas, such as Kolokoma, Pokoma local government, collation is going on at the local government level. Now, when that process is concluded, that is when everybody will come to the State Collation Center and INEC would start, informing us of the results of the day.
Dobra, I mean, good job, you and the team on the ground. And the good news about the SPO that has been released. So the information released by INEC about the incident of yesterday are in two parts. The boat accident, the one that capsized, involving the materials going to southern Niger, and of course this other one that you mentioned where the SPO was abducted. Thank God that she has been released now. But what information do we have as to that 5,311 PVC collected in that area? Has INEC given any further information as to how they want to go?
INEC has actually been silent about it regarding the update concerning that boat mishap and the people when it has to do with the voting. But there's something that was observed during the electoral process today, and that is the fact that unlike other election cycles where by this time you would hear from different local government areas up until the ward level, you hear that they haven't gotten materials, they had delayed voting processes, and even at this time you have staggered voting process where you cannot say completely that for the entire state that voting has ended. This particular election is different because such reports have not come out from any local government area. INEC improved a bit as the officials were there a bit early, and for most of the polling units we visited, we observed that even before 2:30 p.m., voting had ended and they were actually just waiting to see if there will be any, last-minute voters. Counting started, collation started. So the ambience around the election at this time seemed calm. People are still monitoring the process. We've had reported cases of violence that has not been confirmed. And we know, especially with Bayelsa State, during the electoral process, on both sides of the divide, there's accusations and counter-accusations of violence. But until we confirm it, we cannot give life to it to say those incidents actually occurred. But from everywhere we visited, from Ogbia local government, Emeya, Otosega, Otweke, Imiringi, Elebele, down to Tombia, down to Agbarai Petiama, down to Masoma in southern Niger local government, we noticed that the environment was calm. People were moving. There was no tense. There was no tense, condition in the air. I don't know if you remember, in 2016, I went to Masoma to cover the governorship election, and there was so much violence. I remember I was pregnant and I was running with my tummy. So, as I was going today, I was looking out. Are we going to have a repeat of such an incident? But no, it was calm. People were actually voting. People stayed back to monitor the process. So across the divide in Bayelsa State, there has been marked improvement in the voting process.
Well, that's very good to note, Dobra. I'm glad that this time around, someone just mentioned PTSD here, and I'm so sorry. The fact that, our elections have now turned into something that we all always have to look out for our safety And thank God that you're safe, and this time around the environment was more conducive. But how would you describe citizen participation today? How would you describe voter turnout? Would you say that it was impressive? Did people turn out in their numbers? Or would you say that it was lower than you had seen in previous polls?
Now, comparing voter turnout with the presidential election, no, this wasn't impressive. During the presidential election, voter turnout was actually very impressive. For this election, it was mid. You cannot qualify it to be low, but it wasn't overtly, impressive to say people came out in their numbers. Now, few days to the election, there was this, uncertainty regarding the peaceful processes for the election. There were people that were saying, okay, it should be violence-free. There were people that said, you know what, I don't want to go there to confirm if it will be violence-free or if violence will be experienced. And I think that was a major factor in people not actually coming out in their numbers to vote. I remember at a particular polling unit we visited, the number of registered voters for that polling unit was 125. And as at the time we visited the polling unit, over 100 people have already voted. Now, we also went to another polling unit where they had over 400 registered voters. And at the time, past two, they've not recorded up to 150 voters. Now, if you look at that, you really cannot say voter turnout was impressive.
So it certainly was mixed. Well, would like to see, I mean, you've already told us that collation is going to start at 9 p.m. and that is currently going on at the ward level. And I think we'll come to that shortly. But is it possible for your cameraman to give us a view of the collation center and what it currently looks like? You've told us that collation is going to start at 9 p.m.
Okay, so at the collation center right now, the seats are empty. The head of voter education, Mr. Wilfred Ufoga, came and announced that collation for the results they've gotten and to begin the process will begin by 9 p.m. Over there, we have the tech team for INEC. They're just seated down. It's actually a waiting game. Now, the seats that nobody, with the seats that are tagged with political parties, nobody is here yet, as everybody is monitoring the process. Now, with Bayelsa State, you would observe that it is after the actual voting. That is when you now start hearing stories of somebody has swallowed the paper, or before they came to the State Collation Center, something happened, or they got into the water. So when it comes to Bayelsa elections, it's really not about just leaving the process at the local government level and coming to the State Collation Center to wait. People are midwifing the process, monitoring these results to ensure that the votes at the polling unit is what eventually is reflected at the State Collation Center. So right now, the hall is empty.
All right. It's good to know some of your observation, Dobra, but I mean, for someone who has also covered the election in that area, inconclusive election has been synonymous to Bayelsa elections. It's not though that Bayelsa elections suffered only the state has suffered that kind of fate. But then we've seen election declared inconclusive in Bayelsa State, and it was almost notorious for a very difficult conduct of exercise. But give us an understanding, because when we camp at the INEC office like this, you can almost predict how many local government areas where your results have arrived physically on the ground. Because usually for 8 local government in Bayelsa State, if they have up to 5 local government, they might start the announcement. But on the IRF portal, 75.27%, as of the last time I checked, are the results that are being uploaded on the IRF portal. But how many vehicles do you think is on the outside of that building where you are at? You said it will start at 9.
Now, at this point when I'm speaking to you, I can confirm to you that INEC does not have any of the local government results that has come in. In fact, people waiting, they have the opinion that when INEC begins by 9 p.m., they may just announce, the official commencement of the process and may now say, okay, we're postponing it until tomorrow, except if this particular election cycle is different. And I think the local government that may get here first may be Kolokoma or Bokomo, and that's for certain reasons. The numbers aren't very high there. It's motorable, so they can get here. And you'd agree with me that when it has to do with the collation of results in Bayelsa State, the local governments that make people to really wait, Southern Ijaw, Brass, Nembe. Now, Nembe is motorable, so we believe that the excuse of boats wouldn't come up this time, so their results should get to Yenegwa, the State Collation Center, early. We're expecting from Ikeremo. We're also expecting from Sagbama. Now, we're looking at the permutations based on previous election cycles, and we believe that if INEC is actually up to their game, this process should be concluded, say midday tomorrow. But if it follows the pattern that Bayelsa collation has always followed, it may get late till tomorrow. So fingers crossed, we're watching the process.
All right, Dobra, Timmy Wood, we do thank you very much. Just be on cue for us. We will get back to you sooner rather than later, because we're all keeping watch with that center, especially when collation is set to begin by 9 p.m. tonight. So thank you once again, Dobra.
And we are here.